every startup component's digital signature. If a component was altered by malware, Trusted Boot detects the corruption and will not load the modified software component in the startup process. UEFI is really a modern BIOS, and with that modernization, permits the ability to update rapidly. For example, modern managed Surface devices were fast to secure against 2018 Specdown and Meltdown processor vulnerability. Microsoft was fast to push out this update, which could be easily disseminated via Windows Update Service. Moving on from the cloud to the operating system, technologies in Windows are important for protecting endpoints. Virtual Secure Mode, Credential Guard, and Secure and Trusted Boot allow organizations to safeguard identities and defend against malicious drivers. I spoke earlier about how UEFI is like a modern BIOS, and that the Trusted Boot process starts from the UEFI level. New Surface devices ship with a first-party, Microsoft-written UEFI and have Secure Boot by default at the factory. Coupled with regular component inspection and testing in manufacturing phases helps limit unauthorized boot code and malware making its way into the device before and even after the device is in the end user's hands. This intense scrutiny is possible because of the technology choices put into Surface, as well as having a supply chain that is overseen by Microsoft. Cloud to OS, and now onto firmware. You can begin to see how these things are interconnected and work with each other. Let's tie them all together. Only Microsoft Surface devices support Device Firmware Configuration Interface, or DFCI. And these DFCI profiles can be found in Microsoft Endpoint Manager. This is about being able to turn on and off device-level components remotely, which can be configured from the moment of first sign-in. Granular controls of several security controls related to boot options and built-in peripherals is available through Surface and Microsoft Endpoint Manager. The short clip you're seeing on the right shows you from within Endpoint Manager how you can create and select different profiles and configure things like USB ports, cameras, and more. Shipping devices to people that work in highly regular or secure locations, turn off the camera and Bluetooth so that the devices are compliant, without the need to destroy the components or manually disable them one at a time. DFCI profiles streamlines and simplifies the process for provisioning, updating, and securing devices compliantly. And so that's security. But let's pause. Firmware attacks are the new and important threat only amplified by hybrid work. Technologies in the cloud, like deploying firmware updates to the OS, like Secure Boot, to the firmware, like being able to be managed in the cloud, creates an important circle of dependencies. Those dependencies are the software and hardware solutions your organization chooses. And choosing one thing without the other may omit an important safeguard. Next, we will explore devices, the physical endpoint, and why variety, dependability, consistency, and more are worthy of importance and careful consideration. We'll start by examining today's needs of devices. Hybrid work means important changes for many things, critical of which is enabling the workforce to do their best from anywhere. Hybrid work means that flexibility is here to stay in one way or another, and is also a new important expectation for attracting talent. This means that devices must be ready for new demands, whether it be daily teleconferencing, performing intensive workloads regularly, facilitating collaboration without a physical space, onboarding and offboarding employees, and a lot more. For example, you'll see three personas on the right showing the needs and wants of a traveling sales manager, a talented developer, and a very particular designer. They each have their own expectations and way of working. Let's focus just on the traveling sales manager. A device that has all the security measures we just covered is a must. Then, beyond those needs, the sales manager may be best able to perform their duties with a device that is thin and light, perhaps detachable, so that when they're in a standing posture, the device is comfortable to use. Being remote most of the day could call for LTE connectivity for workflows when they're in between locations with no Wi-Fi. I'm sure some can relate to this and agree that these things aren't just nice to haves for such a persona. They sound a lot like things to be productive and get the job done well. This takes us to the first device item around variety. variety in form factor, variety in size, variety in configuration. The Surface portfolio is purpose-built and engineered with components that perform well in many circumstances and personas. Take a look at how a traveling sales manager can have their needs met with Surface Go 3. Under 2 pounds, has LTE and great battery life. You can see the other personas also have products that fit their needs best too. A one size, one form factor, fits all approach to a workforce is no longer commonplace or optimal or what employees expect. Surface offers this variety, but also gets the basics done right. See and hear better with 3x2 Pixel Sense high PPI displays and voice-tuned Omnisonic Dolby audio. Be seen and heard better with calibrated HD cameras and acoustic echo cancellation studio mics. As a side note, this entire webinar was captured using my Surface Pro X native mics and front-facing camera. Focus better with quietly tuned keyboards and fans, and seamless login with Windows Hello Biometrics, which is also a great security feature. There's more, of course. But every employee is a human being, and getting sight and sound senses right is hugely important, with many relying on conferencing experiences working well every day. I mentioned that Surface devices are purpose-built. This extends beyond different personas, but also for people in different circumstances, whether they be situational, temporary, or permanent. Surface is made with inclusive design principles, which impact many aspects, meticulously so. It's why Surface focuses on devices being lightweight, focuses on having great mics, pen, keyboard, touchscreen. So it's ready to accommodate several modalities and ways of interacting with the PC. A simple benefit I enjoy is the crystal clear built-in mics and speakers. I've certainly had ear discomfort and fatigue wearing headsets all day, and it's a delight to make use of the premium audio components Surface devices are equipped with. Surface also recently introduced a new accessory created in partnership with people with disabilities to help support a variety of needs. The new Surface Adaptive Kit is easy to unbox, customize, and apply to devices and accessories, helping identify and use critical keys, ports and cables, and openings via distinct tactile labels. You can learn more by visiting aka.ms/adaptkit. Next is dependability. Having a comprehensive portfolio is one thing, but how those devices are built and sustained matter for the life cycle and useful life of the device. I mentioned in the security section how the Surface supply chain is overseen by Microsoft, and security is one benefit of this approach. Surface also gains advantages in quality manufacturing and testing, which helps yield low incidents per unit. This process doesn't end when the devices leave the factory either. Surface PCs receive ongoing servicing updates for a minimum of 4 years to protect and keep performant. These firmware and driver updates are also frequent to provide better performance and patches on an ongoing basis, like improving battery performance. The right side shows an example of how we have serviced the Surface Pro 4 with many updates, fixes, and improvements, extending the performance of the device which originally launched in 2015. Its most recent update was in July of 2021. Equally as important as dependability is sustainability, something on the mind of many business leaders. Microsoft as an organization has made strong goals of being carbon negative by 2030. This ambition absolutely extends to Surface. Surface takes sustainability seriously. Surface PCs are power efficient and manufactured with sustainable practices from the design phase and across the supply chain. This culminates to Surface having a low carbon footprint, being energy efficient, and more. And whether it be Surface devices having a low carbon footprint or meeting important certifications like Energy Star or reducing plastics in our packaging, Surface aims to be a leader in sustainable practice for PC manufacturing. On the right, you can see an example of an eco-profile for our Surface Laptop 4. We publish an eco-profile for each device in our portfolio, detailing many emissions and carbon impact related measurements. I encourage you to register for our upcoming webinar at aka.ms/sustainability and Surface, and to also compare our kilogram CO2 equivalent number to those of other manufacturers just to see the kind of impact the device your organization chooses can have on the environment. In companion with the data from eco-profiles, we have a new surface emissions estimator tool that can detail the footprint of surface devices purchased for an organization and the related emissions in each stage of that device lifecycle. This tool also reveals the emission reductions from Surface's eco-design and sustainability programs generation to generation. You can ask your Microsoft account team for your organization's own surface emissions estimate. In speaking about variety, I mentioned how Surface does the basics very well, even with a robust portfolio. Choosing a new PC means that you can expect consistency across many things, starting with the security portion I opened up with, and how Surface devices are secure chip to cloud. I mentioned the premium conferencing components, but there's still more to the story. Surface offers consistency in how we service the devices for a minimum of 4 years. Consistency in how we offer commercial warranty options, consistency in management and deployment capabilities and technologies. Surface is also unique in just how large the accessory ecosystem extends and how accessories are also consistent. Microsoft and Surface offer a family of premium accessories built to outfit devices and PCs, ranging from docks, pens, headsets, and more, that share in the Surface design aesthetic. Beyond our first-party accessories, we have an impressive ecosystem of designed for Surface accessories. Accessories listed here are tested for compatibility with Surface and can provide unique industry-specific solutions and use cases, such as mounts, charging carts, kiosk stands, ruggedized cases, and a lot more, many compatible across generations of our products. You can go and see the full catalog at aka.ms/DFS. And so I want to come back to my home office from 2020. There are a lot of things I appreciate about this setup that now you can maybe more easily identify. I love using the built-in camera and mics, knowing I show up and can be heard clearly. I love that I have a digital whiteboard on demand in front of me, a pen click away, for visually explaining things to a peer or a new employee. I love that I can move my device from my office to my living room to change up scenery and still have everything I need to work. I love the accessories I have that are comfortable, especially the precision mouse, as really helps with my wrist fatigue. And I most especially love that I can adjust the angle of my device so I can see the bottom of my monitor from where I sit. A small thing, but something that really makes the whole setup work for me and why I love the Pro form factor. There was a lot to the device story, and hopefully some of the things that you haven't had a chance to think about, like how devices impact an organization's sustainability goals or its ability to be inclusive to all types of workers, are more apparent. Let's now examine why management is an equal factor to consider in the ultimate endpoint experience. For management, I'll touch upon some new and interesting innovations that exist in the industry, as well as those new and upcoming for Surface. Let's start with a familiar story to understand why innovations have come to light. IT receives a couple of PCs a week, unbox, document and tag it, image the device, taking sometimes over an hour per device to ensure policies, app, user profile, security settings, down to the BIOS level, are up to standard. Modern solutions to this familiar story have come a long way and can meet these needs with zero touch and in hybrid setups, returning time to IT and end users. Plus, modern solutions have advantages and features like estate analytics, case support dashboards, and more. Deploy smarter by shipping devices directly to employees and be business ready and IT configured starting from first sign-in. Windows Autopilot and Surface work hand in hand, from Windows updates to security and firmware updates being pushed through the cloud to easily manage the lifecycle. Let me walk you through this in 4 steps. First, IT configures the profiles. Think back to the security section where I spoke about how some devices may need to disable camera and Bluetooth as an example of things you may want to configure. Next, Surface Autopilot partners can upload the device IDs to the cloud so that the right purchased devices get the right profile. Next, the partners can ship the devices directly to the employees. And last, the devices self-deploy and can be maintained and managed from Endpoint Manager. What is cool about this whole story is how IT never touches the device, hence why it's called zero-touch deployment, making deploying and redeploying devices very scalable. Another interesting consideration when in practice is that Surface devices are named and packaged specifically for easy identification and rapid configuration for IT, meaning that when IT needs to identify a Surface Pro 7 Plus LTE device for a certain profile, they show up named as such, instead of an alphanumeric model number that may be tougher to recognize and sort through. When it comes to servicing physical hardware, new Surface for Business devices include Advanced Exchange Service. This provides employees a new device, swapping the fault unit without the need for a lengthy repair cycle or a temporary PC, which can dampen the user experience. In concert with our Autopilot story, Microsoft can automatically check Surface for Autopilot enrollment and deregister the device from a customer's tenant so that the replacement device is enrolled into Windows Autopilot once it has shipped to the customer. It's these kinds of scenarios and more that Surface and Microsoft 365 bring about. But there is one more innovation to share. Introducing the new Surface Management Portal, the new home and one location to view all Surface devices in the organization. Device, warranty status, support tickets, and more are available in Microsoft Endpoint Manager and will show Surface devices in the estate that are enrolled through Microsoft Intune. Taking a closer look, see on the portal dashboard a count of devices and the types, see intelligent insights for which actions can be taken against, whether it be compliant or technically related, and also see warranty and support information at a glance. View the health of all Surface devices and gain insights into the status of those devices. In one place, you can access actionable insights such as low device storage, non-compliant devices, inactive devices, non-encrypted devices, and all devices that may need action. This kind of reporting permits IT to be both proactive and reactive with ease for the entire Surface fleet, including running scripts like emptying the recycle bin and temporary files for devices that may be running low on storage. You can view warranty data of Surface devices to better understand your environment and build a device refresh plan with ease. Clicking on any of these tiles you see on the screen present a list of impacted devices and their associated details. It's easy to understand your coverage and take action when needed. The portal also consolidates support requests for your Surface fleet in one location, with the ability to submit new tickets and leverage self-serve tools like the Surface Diagnostic Toolkit. And there you have it, the ultimate endpoint experience. But there is a new way of thinking about endpoints. What about virtualization and cloud PCs, things that exist beyond the endpoint? In 2021, Microsoft announced Windows 365. Windows 365 is a cloud PC that has modular PC resourcing like compute and storage, apps, security, and settings that can be accessed from a range of different endpoints, such as a phone to a PC. It's like having your Windows PC on any device. Windows 365 is about deploying PC experiences rapidly in a variety of different configurations with predictable per-user, per-month pricing. Besides being able to be accessible on different endpoints, they can be resized to meet higher or lower demands of employees, like instantly getting more storage space. Windows 365, while living in the cloud, needs to be accessed on some kind of endpoint, and that is why the endpoint still matters. Take, for example, a high-powered Windows 365 configuration paired with a Surface Go 3 LTE. It's the power of a desktop in something that is under 2 pounds and can be used anywhere there is data access. This permits new use cases for where a PC can be in the world and just how much power you can access easily. And speaking of different endpoint options for Windows 365, it still has the richest experience running on a PC. And when things like conferencing, multiple modality of inputs, and accessories are concerned, Surface remains as the ultimate endpoint experience. And there you have it, the ultimate endpoint experience and beyond. In this presentation, I spoke about this experience in 3 distinct things, but I hope that you can see how difficult it is to separate them. Together, Surface plus Microsoft 365 provides the ultimate endpoint experience for IT professionals and users of all type. And you now know that there is much interplay between these things and the importance of why looking at security, management, and devices together matters. Your organization can try the ultimate endpoint experience by reaching out to your Microsoft account team. We can help organizations try Microsoft 365 and Surface with expertise to learn and unlock many of the capabilities and features I touched upon today. We are also offering something called a Workstation Assessment that can help IT understand your organization's existing workstation inventory and modernization opportunities, like workstation age, form factors, risks, and replacement costs. You can see some of the outputs we can provide, which are really cool, like how many devices have what generation of processor, to easily identify those that may need to be replaced as they're getting old. Again,